Oh man, are we going to shed some tears today, people? Today is the last episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Today we're going to talk about the highlights and the lowlights of all four major sports teams, and then we're going to send it to our seniors who talk about their favorite moments within those sports teams. All that and much more after this intro.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello and welcome to the final edition of this season's Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I'm your host, Josh Abrams, joined with Sam Brown and Tegan Lamont. Guys, let's get right into it. We're going to go into Phillies talk. It's been a young season so far, so are there many highlights and lowlights? Probably, but there's really none that are too defining so far this season. But I'm going to send it over to you guys. What do you guys like? What don't you guys like about this Phillies team so far?
I mean, they had a great offseason, piling in the All-Stars, Bryce Harper coming in. The pitching has not quite been there. We've started to see Aaron Nola recently start to make hitters look foolish again, but you know, like you said, it's a young season, and there's still 5 more months of the season to play, so we need to see things pan out.
Yeah, like you said there's still 130 games left to play at the very least. So you can't really judge them based on the way the year is going so far. There's a lot of teams right now that are struggling that you expect to see at the top of their divisions at some point in this year. But I think for them, the main thing is they have finally built that talented roster that they're looking for. They don't have the pitching that maybe they need right now, but the lineup right now is very solid, top to bottom, especially with Franco playing so well in that 8-hole right now. You can't really ask for much more offensively from the team. So like we said before the season started, or everyone's always said, is pitching is going to be their weakness right now. And once they start adding to that, maybe they can be a real contending team.
Yeah, and thank God for Franco. I mean,
Yeah.
we say it every time. He was on his last leash coming into this season. This was really going to be the last straw for him, but he has proven that he is a good player, and he's hitting the ball really well, so we're going to need that to keep up as well. But so I guess, asking you guys so far, is the Bryce Harper signing the biggest moment of not only obviously Phillies, but in all of Philly sports so far?
I'm not sure if I would quite extend it to all of Philly sports, but certainly for the Phillies. It may not seem like money well spent right now, but granted the season is only a month old. He's going to be here for 13 more years. There's always room to improve, and when the fans boo him, it's because they expect better from him, and there's always room for improvement for him, and he'll do it.
And it seems like he recognizes that too, not just
absolutely.
Getting upset about being booed.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of guy he is too, which I liked when we started talking about signing him. When there was the debate about Manny and Bryce, which guy's going to fit the city better, I think Bryce is the obvious answer to that question. I think Bryce is less of a prima donna than Manny is. I think he has that prima donna star quality to him, but I think that he's more of a grind it out, go play hard every day kind of guy, and he's going to understand when he's struggling that he's going to get some talk from fans and from radio hosts and that type of thing. I think Bryce is a good fit for the city. I think it's excellent that he's here, and I think it's a good fit for the team and what we needed. We needed a left-handed bat desperately.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out solely because of the fact that we have Harper. And I just think that he is going to help us out a lot. Yeah. And he brings such a big reputation to the table just in general that the fans are going to get on him faster, I think, than they would other players.
It's not Cesar Hernandez playing baseball. We're talking about Bryce Harper. He's supposed to be the star, and he's getting paid to be a star. So you're going to get more backlash when you're not playing well.
And we're going to have a lot more analysis on this Phillies team once we come back from summer break, when the season's almost over. That's when it's really going to tell how this Phillies team is doing. Yeah. So let's move on to Flyers talk now. They obviously did not have a very successful season. They missed the playoffs Can't say yet again because they've been going on and off with making the playoffs, barely sneaking in. But it's the same old thing every time we talk about them. Since we have gone through a whole season with them, what is your guys' highlights and lowlights that stand out to you for the Flyers?
So a big highlight for me, obviously, was beating Pittsburgh in that Stadium Series game. Even when the Flyers were not playing to where we expected them to be, they were playing on a big stage against a major rival. They're inarguably their biggest rival in an outdoor game at Lincoln Financial Field in front of a number of fans they had never played in front of before, and they sent the Penguins home in misery on that stage.
Yeah, I think with them, it comes down to a young team built of a lot of guys that had a lot of potential that really haven't lived up to that so far. I think Robert Haig is the only guy that you can really say had a great season for them this year, or at least a very solid season for them. He played tremendously on the defensive end and contributed a little bit offensively too, which is great for him. I think the issue with them may be there's a lot of roster turnover and a lot of coach turnover. I mean, every year it seems like we're talking about, oh, this guy's gone, that guy's gone, this coach is coming in, this GM's coming in, and now we're getting rid of them. And like we said there, this is going to be the third coach. I mean, I know the guy that was coaching the team on the way out of the season was an interim coach, but
Right.
the third coach in a year. So, I mean, it's not that typically doesn't tend to be a way to run a franchise that is successful in the short term. Hopefully they can turn something around and be a successful team moving forward.
Is it safe to say that I guess signing Vigneault was kind of big just in terms of getting a coach in here who knows how to win?
Right.
Do you think this is kind of the start of a rebuild, or do you not like to classify it as that?
Well, I'm going to counter your question with a question of my own.
What's that?
Who's Dave Haxtell?
Yeah.
Who was Scott Gordon before he came up to the NHL? They're bringing in these no-name coaches who are completely irrelevant, have nothing to their names in the NHL, and now they're finally bringing in someone who can make a statement in this league and has before. I think it is the start of a rebuild, and it's good things for at least the next few years to come. We'll see down the road when they have to start making some decisions with the players who are really young now. But as of now, I really do like this hire, and it was a great decision.
Yeah, I think that's obviously the case. Is they're trying to move past an era that they were hiring young coaches, experimental coaches. Now they're looking at, all right, it's time to sit back, get a guy that we know is going to be a solid head coach. I kind of equate it to Haxtell was a Chip Kelly hire. It was a flashy, pretty guy that had a great time in college, ran an awesome offense that was great for college. Came to the NHL, it didn't work.
Right.
I think that's kind of what that Haxtell hire was. And now with Vigneault, they have a guy that is a NHL coach that has taught men how to play hockey, got men to buy into a system and really put effort out onto the ice. And I think that's probably why you're seeing the change in regime, I guess.
It's Peter Laviolette type deal they have going on.
Yeah, and there are some Flyers fans out there that are skeptical about it, but Vigneault's a proven winner, as we know. He's gotten there twice. Maybe he can win his first one with the Flyers, and that would be nothing, but that would be sweet. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some Sixers and Eagles, all that after this commercial.
Kylie loves to an egg.
An egg?
An egg.
How does a general lose to an egg?
The internet to an egg.
You know, there is a show for that. It's called Backstage Pass.
You see the new library plan?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, doing stuff in the library. Oh.
In the library?
Yeah.
New library.
You know, there is a show for that called LTV News, where the action never stops.
I wonder how the basketball team.
You know, there is a show for that called Sports Live.
So are you a Carson Wentz or Nick Foles guy?
More of a Nate Sudfeld.
Oh, really? Interesting. Wonder where we can hear about Philly sports.
You know, there's a show for that called SportsTalk Philadelphia.
You like Family Feud?
Yeah.
You like all shows like that?
Yeah.
I wonder if LaSalle has a show like that. That'd be kind of cool.
There is a show for that called Q&A.
I really wish that we could just display our talents.
Yeah, me too.
There is a show for that called Explorers Got Talent.
All this and more on LaSalle TV.
It's right over Welcome back from the commercial break. We're going to get right into Eagles talk. Dave Roberts, he's also making his last appearance on Sports Talk forever.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right into it. We'll get into this whole sentimental stuff later. The Eagles, they had a successful season, I guess. They made the playoffs, even though nobody thought they were going to make it after, going 4-6 through 10 games. But they got there. They beat the Bears on a miracle miss by Cody Parkey, but ultimately they come up short in New Orleans. They get out to a 14-0 lead and then just hit a stalemate on offense. But besides that, there's a lot of things to be excited about with this Eagles team, specifically the future. I'm really big on this future, especially 2020 next year. How are you guys feeling?
I mean, what we saw with the Eagles coming back from 4-6 to make it to the playoffs, they still have the same heart that they had in their Super Bowl season, and I feel like they're going to carry it forward, having the same coach and the same quarterback who's battled back from injuries and has still been able to make a statement in this league. They had an excellent draft, and I see they can go nowhere but up from here.
You talked about our pass first. We had an okay season. I actually counted them out midway through. I didn't think we would make the playoffs, and we do. Nick Foles takes us where we need to go again. Sadly, off-season moves. He's not here anymore. But we still have a franchise quarterback. We still have a very young core, which I think can do a lot. And the sky is the limit for them. So I'm really excited to see where we go forward from there.
I mean, this offense just got better. There's no other way to put it. We got Jordan Howard, who's a downhill running back that we've needed all season. Zach Ertz is going to be back. He had the most receptions ever in a season by a tight end. I mean, we're not going to see the kind of season that he had ever again. And you can keep on going down the line, but this offense specifically is going to be absolutely stacked. I mean, Carson Wentz should not have any trouble having a comeback season. What do you guys think?
And now they've bolstered the offensive line by drafting Andre Dillard in the first round. It's sad to see Jason Peters go because it really does look like a move to replace Jason Peters long term. But it's something that they needed to do, and they addressed that need in the very first round. And Carson Wentz having this comeback season is all but possible right now.
Yeah, that pick we got is really important because he gets to learn from someone like Jason Peters, who technically I think is one of the best left tackles in the game, for years. From that's everything that's happened over the years.
And then he can replace him when he goes down.
And then when he replaces him, he already has the confidence to go in there and just do what he has to do because Jason Peters already taught him everything he needs to know. So that pick in itself, I think, locks up what our line can do because there's a lot of moving pieces over the years, and including last year with the injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
But we talk about Carson Wentz and just all his weapons. We still have Nelson Aguilar. We have Nelly out there. We have D-Jack now, so
And Alshon.
And Alshon. So it's not just one threat that Carson has. He has multiple threats he can go to, and I think that's going to be dangerous for everyone's defense.
And I don't want to be harsh on Carson here, but he's been given all these tools at this point, and so I really don't see an excuse for him not to come back and have an excellent season.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, just given how stacked we are. I keep on saying it. I can't really think of anything else. But that offense is really good. And the addition of Malik Jackson was also huge as well, padding up that defense. Just had to add that in there before we move on to Sixers talk. And this is my favorite part because the Sixers are they are. I wasn't expecting them to be tied up 1-1 with the Raptors. I'll be honest.
I don't think anybody was. Honestly, if you really want to think about it, I didn't want to steer your thunder, but the Raptors, we couldn't beat them at all in the whole entire in the season, and it's just
beat them once.
I was we beat them once, but without Kawhi. And you saw that first game, Kawhi put up 45 and 11. I was just I don't know what's gonna happen again in Toronto. So it made me worried, but 1-1, we look good.
Yeah,
and I'm happy.
But so I guess the one thing that must be pointed out about the Sixers team is that so they go 51-31. It's the second consecutive year that they've won 50 games, which means that Brett Brown, for all of the heat that he gets put under, has won consecutive 50 games in consecutive seasons for the first time in almost 40 years.
I'll say since the last time we won a championship.
Yeah, since Billy Cunningham was our last championship coach. So is it a trend? I don't know. It's really going to be tough to tell what this playoffs indicates because there's a lot of things at stake.
Exactly, and you can't always count on Kawhi Leonard being out every game, and he's never lost to the Sixers in his career, regular season or playoffs, and It's really just they have to stay focused and lock him down. And we saw Jimmy Butler step up, and he carried that team in that second game. Yeah. And you have to get this. You have to get contributions from all over. Jimmy can't do it by himself.
Say another 30-point game. I mean, you're just asking. I mean, you're asking what you signed him for and like what you traded him for. So I mean, I can't really be mad at the results he's giving me. We always talk about his inconsistency, but he does come up clutch when he needs to. That Jimmy G buckets means he gets buckets, and you see it.
However far he wants to take us is how far the Sixers are going to go. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Pretty much the story.
But I mean, the one thing that I've noticed about the Sixers team is how drastically different the team is today. I mean, you look at the squad with Embiid, Simmons, and Redick returning. Okay. That squad on the left is not going to get you out of the first round in the playoffs. It somehow did last year with the exception of Chandler and Muscala. But, I mean, this team this year was not going to go far in the playoffs. Instead, we bulk up, we ship those guys out. We get Tobias and Jimmy, which was the big headlines, especially Jimmy. But then you get guys like Boban Marjanovic, Mike Scott, who's a proven scorer off the bench. James Ennis was huge in Game 2. Huge reason why we won that game. It's clear at this point that the team that the Sixers have now, compared to the team that we started with in the beginning of the year, is so much better.
And I give all that credit to Elton Brand. No one likes Colangelo. I don't even like springing up his name. I think he ruined the Sixers after Hinkie. Helped us a little bit. And Elton Brand came in here and said, you know what, it's time for the Sixers to be the Sixers like we used to be, like a competitive team that actually like trying to look for a championship. So you saw the moves he made. The team on the left looked like a team that could make it to the playoffs. Like these guys are making it to the playoffs as an 8 seed. The team on the right is competing for a championship right now. They want the city to have something under their belt to talk about for years to come. So Elton Brand is really he came through, and I think he saved. I'm not gonna say he saved the Sixers, but I think his mindset of like win right now is really like it's working.
Yeah, no more just waiting and waiting and waiting. With this, what Elton Brand's doing with this team, it's still tough to tell where they go from here. But even if they do get knocked out, there's always room for improvement in the offseason, and Elton Brand being proactive will address what they need.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys brought him up because I don't think I really give him enough credit for making the moves that he's made. And I really like to think that with him being so young and not young really, but fresh out of the league young, that's got to help in terms of his relationship and player development, especially within the Sixers. Mm-hmm. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, all of the seniors are going to come back on and talk about their favorite moments from this year. So stay tuned. Tell me you didn't watch the Phillies game last night.
Unfortunately I did, and it was just so heartbreaking to see the first 8 batters strike out.
Claude Giroux hasn't done anything for this organization.
I'm confused. You're doing an internship in sort of marketing and production, right?
I really can't believe that Ben Simmons won't be dropping threes on the court this year.
Hey, Tanya, I know you're really busy, but could you tell me who the Sixers play on October 28th? Doctor, in order for the Eagles to win this week, they're going to need 250 passing yards from Carson Wentz. We're going to need 100 yards rushing. I don't care who it is. We're going to need a lot of good production from our tight end and wide receivers. And I'm going to need 5 interceptions from Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, Mom, look, I know the money situation isn't good right now, but I promise you Travis Konechny's going to have a breakout year.
Hey, I declined to the top of Mount Everest to find Nick Pavetta's ERA.
Sports Talk Philadelphia. We talk nothing but sports all the time.
All right, welcome back. And as I said at the beginning of the show, this is the final episode of this season for Sports Talk. So we're going to send it over to the seniors. They're going to talk about their favorite moments all throughout their careers here and however long you guys have been on Sports Talk. So Tegan, we're going to start with you, and you're favoring the Phillies here.
Yeah, I'll go Phillies stuff mainly. I think the first thing that should be mentioned is Rhys Hoskins, the record for franchise record for starting his career with home runs. I think he's an amazing player at this point. He's a guy that is the Phillies rebuild personified, kind of. They were not a great team, and with Rhys, they've become a team that is now competitive in the East, and with Harper coming in on top of that, now hopefully is a team that should be the favorite to win the East. After that, I want to talk about Aaron Nola last year briefly. He was phenomenal, to be honest. He was the reason that one of the main reasons that we were around 500 last year. His ERA was under 3, well under 3, and he was a real factor in how well the team did throughout the season last year.
All right, Dave, we're going to come to you. You've come on to talk Sixers and Eagles mainly.
Mainly, yes.
But, your favorite moment, it pertains to that? I mean, does it pertain to either of those teams?
I mean, obviously, the Sixers winning 52 games last year. No one expected that. I just thought it was going to be a 40-win season. And the fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, you can't not talk about that. That's some good stuff there. Yeah. I also had, I've been on here since my junior year. I had 3 hosts. You're my 3rd host. So, I'm glad it ended with you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That is true.
We have 3 hosts, and I've had you.
And now can you explain to the audience the name?
Now,
the name game?
I've been so my junior year I did nothing, and then this year you guys gave me creative freedom to just put whatever I wanted to as my name. So it's from most recent since way back when. So my first one was way prettier than Josh Abrams, and that's still true. And that's gonna be there forever. My favorite one is a Christmas-related theme one. Slid into Zendaya's DMs, because slide. That's
I get it.
That's good stuff.
Is there, so which one's your favorite on that list?
My favorite out of all, Tanya's favorite after Callie Montana. That might be true. I'm not saying she plays favorites, but if she did, it's Callie, then it's
in another world.
In another world, yeah.
All right, thank you, Dave. Sam, we're gonna come over to you. You've been the longest tenured on this show besides me. Talk about your favorite moments. You're a big Flyers guy, but you also talk about the Eagles a little bit, so I'll leave it for you.
Yeah, so sporting-wise, the Flyers finally have a goaltender. I am 21 years old. I have been a Flyers fan my entire life, and never in my lifetime have they had a solid goaltender situation until now. We have Carter Hart, who's younger than I am, and he is a show-stopping goaltender who is going to be a superstar in this league for years to come. And I am finally able to have confidence that this team is going to lock down defensively and keep the puck out of the net the way they should be. Also, the Eagles had never really been contenders in the time between their first Super Bowl and their last Super Bowl. When I say their first Super Bowl, I mean their first Super Bowl appearance in the 2004 season when they lost to New England. There was some good stretches in the time between that, but the rise of Carson Wentz has really been the start of something that is something really special. They are finally getting going on offense like we saw in the Donovan McNabb era, a little bit in the Michael Vick era with the running game that both quarterbacks possess in their times. But Carson Wentz is the savior of this team, and I will never hold back on praising him when he deserves it. I will be critical of him when he deserves it there too, and he needs to play more conservatively. But going forward, this team is going to be special for years to come.
All right. So before we wrap up this show, as I said, Sam Brown is the second longest tenured of this Sports Talk team, and to commemorate his time and his effort that he's put into the show, we have put together a little video package tributing him and his career. So we'll send it over. How would you grade this team and why?
D for disappointing. I was angry about the Flyers, and I agree they shut me up by really stepping up this week. I didn't think he was going to be anything special when he was coming up through the system, and he showed us the other night that he's not a superstar. He won't be one.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is no elite quarterback by any stretch of the imagination.
I thought that their plan was finally starting to materialize, their long-term plan. And then, like Selena said, August came around, and they haven't won a series since end of July, early August. Picking him up from the Miami Dolphins was an absolute steal, and now they're absolutely stacked at running back, so they're going to have some decisions to make regarding the running back position, but I think he's here to stay. They just can't afford to play as inconsistently as they have. That Seahawks offensive line has not done a great job of protecting Russell Wilson, so Fletcher Cox will penetrate that line. There's no excuse for this collapse, and better come back next year. That's all I have to say about that. Hey, I declined to the top of Mount Everest to find Nick Pavetta's ERA.
All right, Sam, the floor is yours. Tell the audience what these last couple years have felt like being on Sports Talk.
Well, I really appreciate the video tribute you guys put together. That really touched my heart. I came a little bit later than the two other seniors I have on desk, and everyone at Sports Talk Philly and as well as South TV was very welcoming me with open arms. I jumped right into Sports Talk Philly. I started working on cameras, then I was in the booth, and now I came out to desk every show. It felt great to just contribute my knowledge and my insight and hear from the other guys and girls on set about what they had to say about the Flyers and getting the Flyers, the Eagles, the Phillies. It's just been a lot of fun with all these guys. I want to thank my co-producers, my crew. I want to thank LaSalle TV. I want to thank Tanya. I want to thank all of you viewers who tune in to watch all of us, and especially me, for your Flyers scoop. And it's been a great 2 years in the time that I've been here, and I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Well, that's it's thank you so much, Sam. We've really appreciated everything you've done. That's going to wrap it up for this season. We're going to catch you guys next season for our 20th annual season. You can catch us on social media, as always, at Sports Talk LTV on Twitter. Also catch us on YouTube and Facebook as well. And the mistake that I made in the very first time I hosted, Gmail. Yes! All right, that's going to wrap it up. We hope you guys enjoy the rest of your summer, and we'll see you next year.